Hello, everyone. How's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's resume this complete beginner's guide to Planet Zoo, shall we? So, a couple of things on login that I want to show you, and I've paused our zoo. I'm up to 500 conservation credits because each time I log in, I get 100 conservation credits. So, this is a great way to earn them. Quests and other selling animals is, of course, better, but at the beginning, this is a nice way to have a stream. Now, we have an alert because we finished researching. So I'm going to click on this, and it tells us that we have gotten to level 1 on Aardvark research. And we click continue. What does this mean? We're going to continue researching aardvarks, but if I take our level, okay, 1, and I click on the habitat, the aardvark home, now, okay, I can go over to the animals tab, and you see how they're getting grade 1 food? If I select this, now I can actually give them grade 2 quality food. Now, it's more expensive, okay? But that's okay because it will make the animals happier. We're going to get inspected. We want the animals to be as happy as possible. And your guests respond to the level of satisfaction of your animals. So, for example, we get some feedback. Number 1, this is negative feedback, which is that the aardvark looked bored. The aardvark is bored because we have no enrichment items because we didn't understand enough about the aardvark at first, okay? Now, the view of the aardvark is fine, means like, and that's, again, if the habitat's too big, they can't see the animal that well. But this one was a good view. So you can always check on the habitat and see, like, the most recent thoughts to get opinions about, like, okay, what should I do to my habitat? How should I fix it? Now, we've given them better food, but now it's time to go to habitat. And we're inside the habitat build screen. And I'm going to go to enrichment items, okay? Which is the soccer ball icon. And we're going to click filter. And again, we're going to click species. And then we're going to click aardvark. And now I'm only level 1, so I can't build a lot, but I can build one piece of enrichment item, which is the large barrel feeder. Now, if you click on Artie, you'll see that Artie's enrichment is 0, and in nutrition is only 76%. And the habitat is bad because they want more hard shelter. So let's fix all of these problems. So first of all, if we build this, okay, we can select this, and we can just drop in a large barrel feeder. Now, I like to put it in front of, I'm going to buy 2 of them, and I want to build them right in front of where the guests are viewing the animals, okay? So that's good. Now, I will tell you another thing. Although we have, okay, these large barrel feeders, and we have some stuff, we forgot to build some important pieces for the animals, okay? And I'll show you this. If I click on Artie and I go to terrain, everything is good for terrain. The environment is good, okay? The enrichment will improve. If I unpause the game, you see that their enrichment went up to 50%, okay, with these large barrel feeders, so that's great. But there's something missing, okay? And if I click on habitat, you can start to see what this is. So in animals, okay, and you scroll down on the animals tab, you'll see that there's no food, the shelter is too small, there's no water, and there's no bedding. So they might not complain about this right away, but this is something that we need to fix, okay? So it's harder to see, but you'll just get into the habit of building these as you go. So let's go to all habitat items, okay? I like to build this type of water pump for the animals, but the only problem with it, okay, and I'm going to build it right, I'm going to push X, and we're going to rotate it so that the pump is kind of off to the side, and I'll build it right there. The only problem with this, okay, is I'm going to push M, and I'm going to build another one for them to drink from over here by this window. Okay? The only problem with these is once I right-click and I push P to unpause the game, okay? This is accessible, and it has water, but if we want this to continue to have flowing fresh water, okay, we're going to need to make sure that we're providing water to all of the facilities in our zoo so far. So we might need to go to facilities, and we might need to go to, okay, utilities, and build ourselves water treatment, all right? So right now we have no water treatment, which means that our water is not getting cleaned. So we want the water to be clean, so we're going to build water treatment, and it needs to cover this. The big blue circle is how big of an area it's affecting. So you might want to just build it wherever, but the problem with this facility is that guests hate this, okay? So you have to plan to build this in a place where the guests will not be impacted by it. Now, if I build this right over here, okay, I'm going to push Z to kind of rotate this so it connects with the path. And we can also, if I build this right here, the blue circle, you'll see it encompasses both of the water pipes that we have. And so this is okay, all right? I'm going to build it. It's expensive. I'm going to push escape. It costs $2,000. It's very pricey. But if I click on this, okay, and I go to heat map, and I go to negative impact on guests, you can see that the guests hate these treatment facilities. So it's almost to the path, but not quite. So we're still safe, but these things are really, really hard to navigate because your guests just can't stand them. That being said, now we have fresh water, okay, for our animals, all right? So this is accessible, and the aardvarks now, if I click on the habitat and I go to the animals tab, you'll see, if I scroll down here, they now have enough shelter and they have enough available water, okay? So now it's time to build them food and bedding. So let's go back to habitat and let's build them some habitat bedding large, okay? And I'm just going to put this right on top. I'm going to click it again. It's going into the group of the basic wooden shelter, this yellow screen, which means if I were to move the shelter, then this bedding would be attached to it and would move with it. I'm just going to push escape again. All right, so now we've given them some bedding, and we can click on the habitat, and we can click on, okay, animals, and scroll down, and now they have everything but food. So we got to go back to habitat, and let's build ourselves, okay, some food trays. So you can just go to the food and water tab and let's build a food bowl large, all right, over here, and a food bowl large over there. So now what we have here are two food trays. The food is still low for them because no one has come to attend to it. So we have to wait for the keepers to come give them food. But now we have a place for the keepers to put food. They can put it in these feeders. You can click on, you know, how much food is in here. There's none right now. And there's this button here where you can call the staff to like urgently go fill it. And you can do this for all these things. You can say, hey, how much food is on this? You can see there's no food. And you can click, you know, call keeper if you want. But I'm just going to wait. They'll get there eventually. It's not an emergency. Now this, I'm going to Control D, and I'm just going to duplicate this hard shelter because they want more shelter. And you notice how when I do that, it picks up the bedding as well, because when I click the bedding onto this shelter, it created a group. And so when I duplicate the shelter, it also duplicates the bedding. And I'm just going to build a shelter right here, okay? And I'm pushing X to rotate, X to slide this back all the way against this wall, and I'm going to put it right there. And now I'm going to just push escape, and I'm going to unpause the game. You'll notice that we're actually on a surplus for money because the guests are coming in and we're making money in our zoo. So now we're not super profitable, but we're enough profitable that we aren't going to submarine. This is the difficult part about franchise mode, is just not spending too much money. We cannot spend too much money because we don't want to go negative. So you have to be careful. But look at this. What did we get? We completed the challenge. Which challenge was that? Overall profits. We earned money, okay? And for this, we just get $1,000 as our prize. So click that and boom, we got $1,000. So look at our zoo. We've really enhanced our habitat here. And if we click on the animals tab, you can see that the shelter is getting to be more sufficient for them. They would even like more hard shelter than this, okay? So this is something you can consider, but if you click on the animal, okay, you'll see that, you know, more hard shelter is going to have diminishing returns. Like, their overall habitat is 93%, so it's up to you if you want to build more or not. Now, enrichment isn't great, okay? You can build another one of these if you want. Maybe drop it in over here or something like that, okay? And we can, you know, pause and unpause. But the problem is, this is not going to help us anymore because we have too much food enrichment. So I'm actually going to sell this. I'm just going to push delete and sell it and get some of our money back. They don't need more food enrichment, which is what these feeder barrels are. They need toy enrichment, which we can only build once we've done more research. So right now, we're doing the best we can to help the animals be happy. We're making money. Okay, people are coming to buy our stuff. Look how much we're already up to 17 or 11,700. And if you want, you can click on your bins for your donation right here. And you can see that this bin right here, this donation box, has already made almost $300. This one's made $60. Okay, we've gotten, you know, no money over there. And let's see. You can just click on all of these to just check. This one's gotten $355. You see how much money we've made just from these donation bins? You can click on this person and see what she says. The guard must be chasing someone. Apparently, the security guard witnessed a crime. The price is good, and she's seen bigger and better zoos. Well, of course you have. Our zoo is not very big at the moment, but it's getting there, isn't it? Okay, so what we're trying to do after we've made this habitat even better is start to make our zoo profitable before we extend. In franchise mode, what you've got to do is just be at a profitable point with this green arrow moving up and your money coming in before you start going wild and expanding your zoo. I try to avoid losing all my money, taking out loans as much as possible. This water treatment facility might not have seemed necessary, but it will help us expand in the future on any habitat that needs water, okay? These water pipes aren't like, you know, as major, okay? I'm going to just pause the game for a moment for getting us water. But at the same time, or for having water that we need to clean, it's a good starting point. And you need to begin to think about planning your zoo around negative impact on guests. So keeping all your staff facilities together. Now, this thing has a huge range. If I go to, you know, the water range, you'll see that if I want, I can very, very easily build something over in this area that would require water. An animal that needs water in its habitat that has to be cleaned. The aardvarks don't, they just need drinking water. But what I like about these pipes, at least to my understanding, is that no one has to come fill them up. They're just always providing nice, fresh water. It's not stagnant, okay? And it's my favorite water pipe to use for those reasons. All right, and let's take a gander. And if I look at this habitat, do you see this? Look at this. You notice how it's discolored? This wall of the habitat, you can check this barrier status. This means that the barrier is starting to break down. One thing that I also do with every habitat is I go over to the far right tab for maintenance, okay? And you see that they have a mechanic coming every year, a vet coming every 6 months, and a keeper keeping every month, or coming every month. The keeper coming every month is as frequent as possible, but I want everything to come every month. I want the mechanic to come every month, the vet to come every month, everyone to come as much as possible to keep this place maintained, okay? To keep the animals healthy and happy. You can see right here that this animal is not happy. What's going on here? It's because the animal is getting stressed out. So the animal now is becoming stressed, okay? And we have finished some more vet research, okay, for the aardvark. And this research usually goes pretty quickly. So you see that we did finish this. So we're level 2. And we need to think about ways to help our animal. Right now, it's a little bit difficult because we can't build one-way glass, but at the time, there are things that we can do. So first of all, let's go to Habitat. Let's go to Enrichment Items. We're still on Aardvark. You can see the filters you've selected at the top ribbon here in red. And now we can build toy enrichment. Okay, so we can give them some fun toys to play with, like a colorful ball. And we can also build this pumpkin, like that. And if I unpause the game, okay, you can now look at the animal and check their enrichment has gone up to 100. So the animal is doing great except for stress. So how do we deal with stress? Well, one way to deal with stress is to build some plants that the animal can hide behind if they choose. Okay? So what you want to do in this case, if you're trying to do that, is click on Artie. All right? Click on Artie's environment tab and his ideal plant range, okay? He's from Africa, tropical grassland biome. So we go into the nature tab, okay? And we're going to be building plants right now. I don't want to build rocks or anything else, but we can just select all. Go to filters, go to biome, and select tropical, okay? And we also have grassland. And then we're going to go to continent, and we're going to select Africa. Now, all of these plants are specific that the Aardvark will accept. Also, you'll see this range, okay? They don't want too many plants, but we can build some and keep them in the ideal coverage, all right? So let's just make sure, find some plants that we can build, okay, that would provide a little bit of cover for the animal. Now, it needs to be something that's low to the ground, okay? Perhaps even like this reed stand, okay? So this reed stand, it's enormous, right? So you might want to build a smaller one. But if you build this little reed stand, okay, you can put it like right here, all right? And you'll see that the coverage has gone up a bit. And you can even build one over here, all right? And maybe even something like this. And these will provide some distraction potentially so that the animal can hide if they want. All right, let's just unpause the game and check out the overview here. And you can see that if the animal can get behind something, it's getting stressed. It's trying to hide. And then look. This is moving up. It feels like it's got a safe place to go as long as it gets to this wall, but it's not there yet. So I'm going to pause the game, all right? And I'm going to just click on this reed stand, and I'm going to just push Control D to duplicate it. And I will build another one over here in front of this window to give him a little corner that he can try to hide behind, okay? And we'll see if this will help. Remember, this will get better in time. It can be very difficult to manage. There we go, look. He's okay, and there are some places he can hide. And this is actually filling back up. So, because he was able to hide a little bit, he's okay. He got freaked out, and then he hid. And overall, everything is moving up on Artie. So we built a little bit of plants just to provide some natural cover. And that's just something you want to maintain. Planet Zoo is all about maintaining things, seeing where your numbers are, and trying to make sure that the balance is set. I build very slowly, okay? And the reason I do that, I'm going to push O and O just to go down to the slowest speed. The reason I build slowly is because I want to make sure that I don't run out of money. Now, we actually have plenty of money. And this means that we can go for this quest right here. Adopt and place 2 different habitat species. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for that. So let's go to animal trading, okay? And let's go ahead and see what we can buy. All right, we don't want aardvarks anymore. We already have them, okay? We're going to reset the filters. And I'm just going to look for cash only, okay? And confirm. And let's see. What other zoo could we go for here that would be helpful? Or what other animal, rather? Do we want African buffaloes? Okay. They're big. They require a large habitat. The appeal isn't humongous on them. All right. We could get some turtles, but turtles are also things that are very, very shy. Okay. And we'll just kind of scroll through and see, does anything jump out that we could get that would be exciting? All right. So here, for example, there are, these caimans. Okay. And maybe if we want, animals of that nature, we could also get bears. All right. But remember, we need to be able to protect against the bears climbing, so that might be difficult for us. We could also easily get flamingos, but they're going to take a lot of water. So are seals, okay? So we want to think about animals that are easy to maintain. And what about some wolves, okay? So the timber wolf we could get has reasonable appeal, all right? But let's click on it, and let's go to the Zoopedia and see. Now look at this. This timber wolf is going to want, looks like, a colder environment. But not bad. I mean, like 84 degrees, we're at 66 right now. So this isn't impossible for us. We might have to cool them down if it gets really, really hot, okay? But we can make a nice big group of wolves and potentially cool them down for us, but it might be risky. And, we got something done. What did we complete? Yep. No crime for 3 months, so we just got 2,500. So now we have a really good amount of money. And I'm going to go ahead and pause it. The inspector is arriving in 2 months, all right, so we have to be mindful of that. But I think what we can do is take advantage of this moment and think about some other animals that we might want to get that will fit, okay, in... How about this? What about some hippos? Hippos are amazing appeal, okay? And the problem with them, though, is you can see they're enormous and they're going to need a big place. What about these mandrills, okay? So the mandrills have very, very good appeal, and they take cash, all right? And let's just see, are there any female mandrills? That would be a problem. We can only get a male mandrill at the moment. So you want to try to get a male and a female, all right? So that being said, what you can always do is just get one of a male or a female and then just keep your eyes opened for more of that type that appear later, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? Let's go for mandrill. Okay, mandrill is nice and cheap. Oh no, but mandrill wants to climb. Right. You know what then? Let's just go back. Let's just get wolf. Wolf is easy. All right. So we're going to go ahead and just get this wolf and that wolf. The wolves are super cheap as well. So we just bought 2 cheap wolves, and we can begin to plan for these wolves in our zoo. Okay, so we know that our radius right now, let's just look at negative impact on guests. We would want to build away from all of this, but within our water range if possible. Okay, so maybe something right here would do fine. Okay. So that's something that we can certainly consider. You can also put part of the guest or the animal habitat through the negative impact area as long as the people can't get there, and it would be fine too, because you don't have to worry about the staff being upset. And in fact, the advantage would be we could put a path to the keeper hut right over here, and it would be super convenient. So that's something also to consider. So I'm going to turn off the heat map, and let's just have some fun and make another habitat. Now, if I go into the zoo screen and I go into the maintenance mechanic research, you see we are trying to research this. It just is taking a long time. And so if you want to speed this up, you can hire more staff. You can hire more mechanics, okay? However, the problem with that is you can see, if I click on this, the workshop is being used. So we'd have to build another workshop to support that. They wouldn't be able to do research because they need their own workspace. This staff facility is inefficient right now. Only 1 out of 4 staff possible are using it, but that's great. We don't have any problem with that. Okay? Now, it might be worth our while to hire another vendor if our vendors are getting tired. Okay, so what you can do is go to the zoo screen and you can click on staff, and now you can get an overview of all your staff, and you can check your the energy of your staff, okay, and see who's in bad shape. Now, our keeper is not doing great, but has an efficient workload. Our vet has a high workload, okay, so we might want to hire another keeper and another vet just to help out. All right. Now, the only problem with that, of course, is that if I click on my keeper hut, only one keeper can be in here at a time. And if I click on my vet surgery, this can only take one vet, okay, at a time. So it's pretty intense how many buildings you're going to need to support that, but it might be worth it. Right now, I'm going to leave things as is, but this is something else that you want to manage, which is your staff happiness and their energy. If the vendors, okay, start getting tired, I will hire a surplus vendor, because remember, every building that you build that is a food shop, a drink stall, whatever it is, they come with a vendor. But if that vendor needs to take a break, then the place closes down. And so you want to have some vendors on standby to go in, give people a break, and tap in and out. So I will go to the zoo, and I am going to just hire one more vendor. Okay, I'm going to click vendor, and I'm just going to drop them down. All right, and I'm going to just unpause the game. Now, in a bit, we're going to start building work zones, which tells people where to go work. Okay, but right now, we don't need to break up our zoo into zones because it's so small. So I'm just going to pause it, and I'm going to start building. I was looking at our research because I would like to build a higher quality zoo. All right, I'm going to urgently request the mechanic, okay, because we're about to get inspected. So I want this to get fixed. I don't want them to talk about how ratty our containment and barrier is. All right, now I'm also going to go into the barriers screen, and let's go to the animal trading, and let's look at animal storage, and we have these animals, right? And so we can say, okay, we've got Timberwolf. Let's go to Zoopedia, and here's Timberwolf. And if we go to, they need grade 2 barrier that needs to be over 4.125 feet tall, okay? But they need a big area. Look at this. I'm going to have 2 adults at least, okay? And let's just plan on having 2 juveniles. So they need 15,000 square feet of space. So they need an enormous habitat, okay? So we have to plan for that. So let's click barriers. Let's go ahead and we can build corrugated, and they can't climb this anyway, but not like wolves have a problem, okay? So you can use corrugated for animals that can climb to keep them in, but the resistance grade is so low that, like bears, for example, you can't use this on them, okay? And you would need to use red brick, which is also not climbable. So there's that to chime in with as well to keep them inside. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom down, okay? And I'm going to start building this habitat right here, okay? And we're just going to use the minus key. And I'm going to just use the existing path that I have. I'm going to use the minus key and kind of really get this up here. That's fine. I'm going to use the existing path that we have as an edge to start this habitat, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and kind of click over here. And I'm just going to make a massive wall way back here.
Now, I'm going to just push minus on this a little bit.
and then connect that. Now, if I built this, okay, habitat, I'm going to push escape. I don't want that. I'm just going to select this and just push delete. Now all I need to do is go to habitat and build that keeper gate. It's in barrier, sorry. Habitat gate. Like this, it'll connect right to the staff area perfectly. And then I can push escape and check this out. What is this? How big is this? This is 11,000. So even though this is enormous, okay, it's still not big enough for the Timberwolves that want a huge facility. So good to know. So all you have to do is click on this and just go over here and go edit barrier. All right. And I'm going to click on this panel, and I'm just going to delete this. And we're just going to continue this, okay? Like this, and this. And then over here, something like this. There. And then I'm going to select this and just delete it. And now I'm going to push escape. I'm going to select this, and how big we got? 17,000. This is now big enough for some timber wolves and some cubs. So they need a lot of space to range around. All right. So this is a good start. And I always like to just, I'm going to call this timber time. All right. This is our timber wolf habitat. I like to build the outline of it first and then make adjustments. We will be replacing this barrier most probably with nicer stuff when we get more money, but this is a good place for us to begin, all right? So we've got timber time, and we immediately need some more things to keep our zoo running, all right? So that means we're going to need another keeper hut, all right? I'm going to just select it and push Control-D to build another one. I'm going to build it right there. I'm also going to build another mechanics. Let's see. Workshop. Actually, it's part of a group, so let me just build it like this. I want to build another mechanics workshop right here. I'm just going to rotate this around until it hits the staff area. Remember, we don't have to worry at all about negative impact to the guests because we're in this area where the guests aren't going to come. Right, so you can push H, and we can allow guests to come to about here if we want to let them walk all the way around. But right now, we're good. I like to keep this as my staff facility. Now, this will allow me to go to zoo and we're going to hire another keeper, drop, and we're going to go to zoo, and we're going to hire another mechanic, drop. Okay? Now, we've got the beginnings of a second habitat. And it's enormous, okay? So what we need to do before we do anything else is start planning. And I like to do this by building where the guests are going to walk. So I just click this bench. I'm going to just click M to move it. I'm going to move this light post over to here, okay? And I'm going to move this bench over here as well. And this can go here. And then I can just kind of move that there. And then I'm going to click on 9 for paths, okay? And we're just going to select a path and that we want to be able to build. And looks like, let me make this as narrow as possible. And it doesn't like it in a lot of ways. It won't let us build the path over here for some reason. And it's, again, just wonkiness, so I'm going to build it right here. But actually, I'm going to delete that. I would like it to be slightly wider. I'm going to just undo, and we'll go ahead and here we go. So it didn't let us connect the path, but now we've got it, and that's fine. And we'll just kind of move this around. Now I'm going to push spacebar to turn off the snap of the angle, and I'm going to zoom way out and go up top, and we're just going to kind of curl this around. Actually, I'm going to delete this. This is a little bit too close. Yeah, there we go. You don't want it to be right against the barrier because you need to leave room for the donation bins. Okay. And now you can make a choice on if you want to let any of the guests come, like around here, for example. But you don't have to. So now we have a plan for the guests to come all the way around. And it is time for us to start putting in windows. All right. So we're going to click on the barrier. We're going to edit the barrier. And we're going to start dropping in windows right away. Okay. Now we could either select glass. All right. And we're going to. Glass is not climbable and it's strong. Okay. So we can do this for this animal. And I'm going to just show you a different type of habitat that we can build. And this will allow more visibility. Now, another thing you can do is you can just grab this little diamond and slide it around, okay? And then as you slide it to each segment, all right, you can select all of these and then just click glass and boom, they're all glass, just like that. And the only corrugated section is on the back. Now, if you're careful and you look at your Timberwolf, okay, it says that they're confident around humans, which means they don't mind being observed. So they're not as shy, okay? So we can afford to just have an all-glass habitat. They can't climb this. It's tall enough, and it's strong enough to keep them in. So it meets all the requirements for this particular animal, all right? So now we're going to go into facilities, and we're going to select all, and we're going to do the important stuff. Just drop in donation boxes right away all over this, everywhere you can. This is how we're going to make money at the zoo, okay? So just put these in places where you think there's a good view of the animals, okay? You don't have to put them, every 2 feet, but wherever you feel good. All right, so now the outside is built. And we can go to animal trading, go to animal storage, and select all these animals, send them to the zoo, okay? And we're going to just select timber time, like that, and the delivery has been scheduled, okay? Now, we're also having an issue with our vet, so I'm going to hire another vet and drop the vet in there like that, and I'm going to unpause it. Now we're getting a bunch of new staff, all kinds of things are happening, and here we go. This is not done. We haven't built the habitat education, but now I'm going to pause the game. Look at this. One VIP guest has arrived at the zoo, and this is a visiting player. So if you're playing and you're connected to the internet, you'll get these visiting players, and all you have to do is click say hello, and you get 20 conservation credits for doing that. So it's a great way to earn conservation credits. The inspector is coming in a month. Okay, and pause the game. Here come the wolves, okay? We just completed a challenge, so we got $1,000 for completing that challenge, okay? And we got some new challenges. Now, we need to immediately, before the inspector gets here, make the zoo happy for these animals that are in here. I have to unpause it a bit, let them settle in. Okay, here we go. Now I can click on the wolves. Okay, so how are the wolves doing? Well, right away, we can check on enrichment, okay, and terrain, and we need to fix all of this, all right? So let's go to, first of all, they hate the long grass. They don't want hardly any long grass, and they would prefer some snow, but we're not going to give them any snow. But instead, what they can have would be soil, okay? So let's just go to, they'll even take rock, all right? So we can just kind of start painting some of this on here. And then we can just get some soil and just paint it wherever you like. Just get over that tall grass, okay? And make sure that, for the most part, the tall grass is gone. What else would they take? They would even take a little sand, all right? So you can just pepper this in however you want to make it look, okay? I'm at the max on sand, so let's go back to soil and just start throwing this in also, all right? And we're almost to the point, okay? And we'll go back to rock, where, that looks great. You can see they really do not like long grass at all, but they'll take short grass. So let's get that in there. And we almost have all that long grass out. It takes a second to get this adjusted, but we're just about there. Soil, almost there. Rock, let's see, a little up here, and then there. Everything is now in the green. All right, so we've transformed the land, okay? And you can get this however you like, with rock and soil to keep all of these balanced, okay? They've got plenty of space, but they want hard shelter. Their plants are okay. They want more coverage, but they're okay with the plants because there's nothing bad. We'll get some plants in here for them, but right now, we're okay. All right, so things are looking really, really good for the wolves in this habitat. Now it's time to do enrichment, food, water, shelters. I'm back from a little break, and we're going to get on with creating this timber town. All right, so what do we need here? Well, we finished all of the painting. We just need hard shelter, and we could use some enrichment, food, water, all of these things. So we're going to go to habitat, and we're going to go to enrichment, but we're going to go to filter, and we need to go to now timber wolves, okay, as our species. Select that, and luckily some of the the enrichment items, these are actually all toys, no food enrichment items, are usable by the timber wolf. So we have no food enrichment yet, but we can drop in a few, fun items for them to play with, like that. And now I can just say, okay, how are you doing with enrichment? Let's pause it, and I'm going to unpause the game, and you see they go up to 50% because now they have all the toy enrichment that they need. They just don't have any food enrichment, which we're going to have to get through research. So we can click on the zoo tab, and we can open up vet research, okay? We actually got a second vet for this exact reason, Arlene Hairston, and we're going to drag her over to the timber wolf. So now we're researching both of the animals that we have to be able to take care of them better. So once this is happening, okay, we need to think about finishing all of the needs for the habitat itself. So let's go back to habitat, and let's go to beds and shelters. They want a hard shelter. Let's build them like, a giant hard shelter. We have a huge space for them. So I could put a shelter right here for them. And in this way, they don't mind humans. If they decide to sleep, people will get a really good view of them, okay? And we can just go ahead and put some bedding on here. Just click Habitat Bedding Large, and you can put right on top 1, 2, 3, 4 bedding, and then we're going to push Escape to leave the group. Now they are linked up together, and we just unpause the game. And let's go ahead then and pause it. This is how I kind of do things, where I pause it, I unpause it. Oh, and did we get a new... we already greeted this guest, I believe, but we'll try to see if we can get some points for that. Let's click on our animal and see how they're doing in their environment. The plants are fine. The coverage is not great. We'll get some more plants going. And they have enough space. They'd like even more space, which is, hard to imagine, but the hard shelter does take up some of its space. So it might get to a point where we run out of space if they have too many offspring, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. As far as their environment goes and their enrichment goes and their overview, they seem to be okay with their habitat. They've got enough shelter. They've got everything that they need. Their food isn't great, but it's okay. And so the only thing that's hurting them right now, actually, is enrichment and nutrition. And so now we just need to go and build food and water for them. So remember, we can build these water pipes, And I always like to put the food and water close to the viewing areas of the guests so that if the animals do need to come and get a drink or eat, then people can see them doing that. There. All right, so now we have food trays, we have water trays, and we have a place for the animals to play. We've got them enrichment. Now it's time to go over to facilities, okay? And we need to build some facilities that are for information, okay? No, but we want education. Anyway, I like these the best, the habitat education boards. And I'm going to put both a combination of, I'm going to favorite this because I like these the best, these education stands and these boards, okay? So I'm going to build a board on the glass of the habitat where the guests can easily see it, okay? So like, for example, right here, okay? And, you know, right here. And I'm going to click on this, and we're just going to turn it over to Timberwolf. Now, we're going to need to make sure it's only displaying Timberwolf. You see, it does give us the Aardvark option on the drop-down for the educational content, but we want it to be wolf because obviously this is where the wolves are. Now, once I have this selected, I'm just going to duplicate it, and we can build this, build some more of these so people can know what it is that they're looking at. Okay? So where the barrier is close to the path, I'm going to just put the board for them right on the panel so it's easy to identify what they're looking at. You want to educate these people. Now, where it's far away, okay, and there's a big gap, then you're going to want to go to facilities, and we're going to go to the favorites, and I want to just build this habitat education stand to tell people what's here. Okay, so you can just kind of build this. Now I'm going to push X twice to get the circular rotation and put it there. All right, and we need to select Timberwolf. Okay, and you can see now we have a stand that's telling people, because if I put this on the barrier, it'd be too far away for them to read it. All right, so once we do that, I feel like that's plenty of education. Now we want to build some speakers. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to click favorites again. I'm actually going to favorite the education speaker. It just makes it easier to get to the stuff that you need to build every time. And we need to be careful, okay? Because here and here, we're going to need to make some adjustments. So we'll click this is fine. All right, but these speakers, okay? We need to adjust the range of these speakers so that they're much smaller, okay? And the reason is we don't want anyone who's walking and looking over here at the wolf to get information about aardvarks, okay? So we're going to kind of, you know, make this a little bit smaller, and we might have to make it smaller still, but what you want to do is keep the area of influence of these speakers, their range, small enough so that you can imagine a guest who was actually looking at the wolf wouldn't hear stuff about an aardvark. And you can see if the guest did hear that. When you click on them, they might have a complaint, you know, that was confusing, or you'll get warnings about those kinds of things. So you can make adjustments, all right? Now, we want this to be Timberwolf content, okay? And we want the range to be something like that. That is fine, all right? And then we can just duplicate this and give people education about Timberwolves the entire time that they're walking here. Now, once we build more stuff in our zoo, it might very well be possible that we have to modify the range so that there's no overlap, okay? So, for example, if I build this right here, well, there's a potential for overlap. And so is there right here. Okay, now what I need to do is just click on this, And I need to just change this range down to something like that. That's fine. It should be okay. Now this one, we definitely want to shrink this up to about like that. Now you'll see that there are some gaps in the audio, and I'm okay with that, but you can also just drop another one right by the sign like that. And you can even put one, on this education board somewhere if you wanted down here. And then you could adjust this just to make the range a little bit tighter. There you go. Okay. So at this point, I'm happy with my coverage of the timber wolf. And let's think. Let's click on the habitat, and let's just check everything here about the animals. They seem happy, but it says there's no food yet because the vet hasn't, or the keeper hasn't come in to take care of them, but they will. Now, we're going to go to nature, and I'm going to say, okay, let's click on the wolf, and the wolf wants tundra, temperate, taiga. Okay, so we can go to filters, and we can go to biome, tundra, temperate, taiga, like that. And we will then also go to continent, and we can select, North America, Europe, and Asia specifically. And now you could see these are reflected over here. And I'm going to buy some trees. Like, I really enjoy trees. And we can just fit some trees in here that look good. I don't want to necessarily block, any line of sight. But we can hide, like, these guest facilities behind some trees. And I like to kind of just vary the way that the trees appear. Now, you need to be careful when you're buying nature stuff, though, because it can add up quicker than you think about how expensive some of this stuff is. So just make sure that, you don't buy too many trees because your money will disappear. Also, it takes away some of the space for the animals, so make sure that you don't completely destroy their space concern. But now they're totally fine. They've got good coverage. We've got plants, and we could make this look more aesthetically pleasing if we wanted to change the habitat. But for now, I'm okay with this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some benches, and I can just, put in some temporary seating for people so they can take a rest. All of this stuff will probably get edited or moved as the zoo expands, but for now, these are pretty cheap. And what you also have to build, okay, are some trash cans. Now, you see how these trash cans got into the path? Just push M and move them. Push M, move this to here. Move it off the path. And I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this and just build some more. I like to have trash cans actually pretty frequently, because if you don't, the guests will just throw their trash onto the ground. It makes it look awful. And people respond negatively to trash. So you want to make sure your waste is corralled somewhat. There we go. And I'm going to unpause it. And let's see how we're doing. So we have new animals. And you know what? I feel like we have enough animals that I'm going to go to the zoo overview, and I'm going to raise our ticket price. I'm going to make the zoo close a little bit earlier. Okay, I'm going to have the zoo close at 8 p.m. And I'm going to raise the ticket price for adults to, I'm just going to make this $5, and I'm going to keep it at $3 for kids. You can toggle with this. Okay, and I just go to you can slide the ticket price, or you can click here and just type it in. You could toggle this however you want. But, we got research done. And we got more information on the Aardvark. Fantastic. So we're going to keep researching this. By the way, check this out. If I go to my Aardvark, you can see now it's level 2 information. So people are getting educated more about aardvarks, whereas for the timber wolf, they're only level 1 because we don't know that much about them. All right, so let's click on them and see what they think. They say that's a happy wolf. They like it. The zoo is small. It is, and they're having a great time. You can see their education meter filling up as they get more education throughout our zoo. Okay? So, at this point, our zoo is going well. Is the inspector here? Yep. Okay, so the inspector is here. I'm going to pause it just to talk to you about this. So, once the inspector arrives, the game will tell you. You can click on this, and then it'll tell you what's going on. And right now, the inspector is going to go to these 2 facilities and give it a rating based on what they think of how the animals are doing. And you can click on your animals, and they seem to be pretty happy, right? You can click here, and you can check the animals tab. We can't get grade 3 food yet, so, you know, this is probably as good as they're going to get. Hopefully the animals aren't freaking out about being shy. They do want more hard shelter, which, okay, fine. I'll buckle. I'll give them another hard shelter. Here you go. These aardvarks are really demanding about hard shelter. They're very small, and there's a lot of shelter, but there you go. All right, and what's this? He can't find a research. He wants to do research on animals, okay, but he can't do it because we don't have enough places for him to do that, all right? So what we need to do is build another research center for him. So we just duplicate this one, and I'm going to build it over here, and I'm just going to rotate it. Now, I don't want to edit a group. I'm going to make this free of a group so I can put this wherever I want. If you ever notice that your buildings are having trouble going in, or they're not doing what you want, make sure you're not in a group because that can limit your options. But here we go, and I can build this here. Hopefully that doesn't spread negative impact to guests. It does not get into where the guests can go, so we're good. And we'll just unpause it, and he should be able to figure out a place to go, and he did. This green ring will reflect the progress. We got 5-star rating on the Aardvark home, which is terrific. And hopefully the timber is also getting that. Now you see how it's raining really, really hard. People will be upset because of the rain, but you can see some people got umbrellas. They got umbrellas from the information center. Everybody else is getting drenched. And she's like, I need an umbrella, right? And so, unfortunately, that's just what happens. You can build roofs and things like that, but most people will go to the information center and get an umbrella, and you'll be okay. And she did not like the Timberwolf exhibit. It's okay. But remember, the Timberwolves are not going to be perfectly happy because we don't have enough research for them. So we got a good report. The education facilities are bad. The cleanliness is good. And the animals are happy. So we got 4 out of 5 stars, which is great for our beginning zoo. And let's go ahead to a challenge. And you can see that you get a prize for $2,000 if you get a star rating of over 2. So we did it as a challenge, and boom, we got some extra cash. And the inspector is coming back in 10 months. And the next time the inspector comes, we'll be able to do a much better job because we'll have more research done and be able to do more with our animals. Speaking of research, we just finished the first level of Timberwolf, which means that we can immediately pause the game. And look at this. We also finished our mechanic research. So now we know more about barriers, which means we can build more barriers. I'm going to keep doing that, but whoops, we also have another mechanic that I hired, and we can research some other things. So what we're going to do with researching, okay, what I like to do first and foremost is always research things involving habitats and barriers, everything with our animals, okay? We'll get all these other things later, better staff facilities, better, cosmetic items. This is all so fun to have. But I want the animals to be happy first. That's my priority. And then we got another VIP visiting, so we can go ahead and just say hello to them and get the conservation credits. All right. And then we can go into Habitat and Timberwolf and go over to Enrichment, and you see we can now build some sprinklers, okay? But still no food enrichment for them. So unfortunately, we don't have that yet. We'll have to research up to get that. But we can click here and go to animals and, oh, we need level 2 for the better food. Okay, so we're getting more information about them. You see it changed to level 2 here. But we'll have to wait for the food enrichment to really make them happy. And that'll be done really soon. We're profitable. We have 200 guests. We have a pretty good rating. And now we have 2 habitats in our zoo, thriving with plenty of staff, and things are going great. Everyone, I hope that you're finding this tutorial series to be helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and have fun playing Planet Zoo. Take care.